Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Claire Dute. I am the managing attorney for KIND's Houston office. I am actually here right now to introduce one of our really amazing pro bono attorneys, Veronica Rivas-Molloy. Veronica today is going to tell you guys about her experience working as a pro bono attorney, taking on a child's case, and also what it is like to work with a KIND mentoring attorney. Veronica Rivas-Molloy is special counsel in the litigation practice group at Jones Walker. She provides legal counsel to domestic and international clients in a wide variety of arbitration and civil litigation matters in both state and federal courts, focusing on matters involving complex business and commercial disputes in the energy industry and employment law. Veronica was born in Mexico and is fluent in Spanish. Her language skills and understanding of Latin American culture have given her the opportunity to work on numerous international disputes and the unique ability to counsel her clients on matters involving multicultural business transactions. The idea is after Veronica is done speaking, she can also take questions from you guys about taking on a case and about working with a child. So please welcome Veronica.
Hi everyone, I'm happy to be here today, and I'm so glad that Claire invited me to be able to talk to all of you guys. It was many years ago that I had the first opportunity to work with KIND, the organization Kid in Needs of Defense. And I was working then, I was probably had been practicing litigation for about 6 or 7 years at the time, doing, as Claire mentioned, mostly commercial litigation and business disputes, and I had never, ever delved into any type of immigration law or any immigration matters. And when I used to think about immigration law, I used to think of that's a really complicated, very specialized area of the law that really truly just necessitates the needs for a specialist. And so I ended up working on other pro bono matters where I thought I could be most useful, litigation matters where I felt comfortable and I felt that I had the expertise necessary to be able to provide the help to my clients in that venue. And it took a good friend of mine who I was working with then at Baker Botts, who started working on asylum matters, and she was working primarily for adults, but she had heard about this great organization, KIND, and she wanted to represent children. And she came to me, she said, "Hey, Veronica, do you want to work with me helping these kids? They're unrepresented, they don't have anybody to go with them to court, and we have to go to immigration court." And of course, my heart immediately leaped and said, well, yes, of course, I want to help children and I want to help represent them because they don't have representation. But to be entirely candid and frank with you, fear just struck, because I'm like, okay, I don't know anything about immigration law. I have never been in immigration court. What if we mess up and we irreparably damage this child's ability to be a citizen or to stay in this country? So I was very concerned about not having the expertise to be able to help and do a good job for the children that we were going to be representing. So now looking back on it, I'm so glad that she invited me to work with her on that case because we got to meet KIND. And I cannot tell you enough good things about this organization because they have the most amazing attorneys who are very experienced. They know exactly what they're doing. They're up to date on every single change in the legislature, change in the law, and they really do guide you through the process. And so the way that it has worked for me is I get to work hand in hand with an attorney at KIND who really, to the extent that I have any questions or where to even begin, what kind of petitions we need to file, what kind of relief these children are really in need of, they really do walk you through the process. And I can talk a little bit about that, but the point being is that no, you do not need to be an immigration lawyer. It's okay if you've never done immigration work before. And also, you do not need to be a litigator. This is truly for everyone. You can be a transactional lawyer, you can be a litigator, and you can do this work. One of the most rewarding parts of this process is I've gotten to work as a litigator with some of my clients who are transactional attorneys who have never set foot in a courtroom, who have never taken a deposition, but they really, really want to help. And so we've been able to pair up as teams with clients, transactional clients, corporate lawyers, and litigators, and we all work collaboratively together to be able to represent our children, our kids that we get to represent. And so, so if you're thinking about the potential of doing this and fear, or you're nervous about it because you're not an expert in this field, or you're not a litigator, please don't let that hold you back, because you can do this. And it really is, it's hard in respects, because you have to understand the law, you have to understand what you're doing, but it's really easy when you have someone like Kind mentoring you through the process. And so they have great resources from the very beginning to the very end. And what I mean by that is they truly do have like form petitions, they have sample briefs, they have sample go-bys that you can use so that you're not starting from scratch. And as you're working through the process, there really are a phone call away. The number of times I've called Claire or Salma or Stephanie, with whom I work with, whenever I have a question, and they're always accessible and always available. And so the key is, of course, that you take primary responsibility for handling the case, but they're really there as resources for you. I remember an occasion where I was in court and I felt like I was very prepared and I was ready to go, and I was there with a young child that I was representing, a young girl, 12-year-old. And an issue came up right before. I'm watching as the judge is handling the hearing right before mine. And this issue of law came up that I knew was going to directly impact my case. And he was asking questions that I did not have the answers to, because this was just a recent change in the law. And I stepped out. I texted my Kind attorney saying, this is happening. I'm on in 10 minutes. Can you help me out? And within 5 seconds, she had like a list of, if this comes up, this is what you need. This is a recent case. I was ready to go. I mean, I really just took a text and she was there ready and able to be there for me. And for that, I was really appreciative, because of course I came up, the question came up, and I looked like the most prepared attorney. I had been briefing this for weeks, and I just knew, thanks to my Kind mentor, that I was ready to go and be able to adequately represent my client at that time. And I will also say that the immigration judges are very understanding of the fact that you're a pro bono attorney. They have a lot of patience. They guide you through the process. If you forget something, they will kindly remind you about that step, and they will guide you through the process. And I have found that even our counterparts, the attorneys working for the government, are also very compassionate and very understanding of the fact that this is not your practice, and that you're really just trying to give of your own time and your pro bono services to really give back to your community. So the way that I can pitch this to younger attorneys is, this is a wonderful way to get experience in trial. If you're a litigator and you're having a hard time getting in court in your civil matters or your civil cases, working on these cases gives you the ability to be in front of a judge, to be on your feet, to be making arguments, and you even get to have trials. In some cases, you even get to hire experts. You get to depose those experts, and you get to present them in court. So for selfish reasons, you could get this wonderful experience. But I will say, in the 20 years that I have been practicing, and I have been very blessed in my career to have very good clients that I get to work on really neat cases in the state of Texas and across the United States on these business disputes and other cases that I've handled. But I can honestly say that the most rewarding cases that I have ever worked on have been my cases that I have worked with Kind, because you truly are changing a life. You're touching someone in ways that are going to not only impact their lives, but it's really going to impact generations to come. You're giving someone the opportunity to be represented, to give child a voice in court, to be able to know that they have someone who's going to help them, who has their back, that they're not here alone. Because these kids, when they come unaccompanied, they are alone in a lot of respects. Even when they get reunified with a parent, Oftentimes their parents themselves are facing difficult immigration proceedings. They don't understand the system. They often don't speak the language, and they often don't have the background or the education really sometimes to mentor or to help their own kids. So they really rely not only on their own attorneys, but they're relying on the attorneys of their children to be able to help them. And so you're not only providing a legal service for children, you're really providing a lifetime opportunity for mentorship. You guys are all professionals, you're all very successful, you have done very well for yourselves, and these kids, when they see people in these positions who are willing to help them, they really start thinking about opportunities for themselves. They start seeing themselves in you. What can I do one day if I'm here in this country and I have the opportunity to stay? Can I day one be a lawyer like this person who's helping me? And it can be little things of just guiding them, what classes they're taking, how are they doing in school, how are their grades doing. Just take them out to lunch once in a while and just talk to them and see how they're doing, because you really are more than just a lawyer to these kids. You're really a mentor. And the cases that I have been working with Kind took on a lot more meaning for me when I became a mother, because it's heartbreaking for me to imagine that some of these kids have to go to court without having anyone there. I mean, some of you are litigators. Remember that first time that you step in court and you're terrified because it's your first hearing and it's not even about you, it's about your client? I cannot imagine being 10, 11, or 12 and walking into a courtroom where really your life decisions, the decisions the judge is going to make are really going to have an impact on your life, where you get to live, whether you get to go, whether you get to stay here with your family. So you're changing lives, and I can tell you as an immigrant myself, the opportunities that this country have given me. I have those opportunities. I'm a lawyer because I was given those opportunities. So you are changing lives. You're providing opportunities for young kids who really just want to be here, and who are so desirous to be in this country. The young girl I represent now has been here for 9 months, and she already speaks English. She did not know a word of English when she got here. She's getting straight A's in school. And every time I meet with her, she tells me how happy she is to be here because she loves this country. So if fear is keeping you back, if you're ambivalent about being in court, please reconsider. I promise you, these will be the most rewarding cases you ever work on. You will feel really good that day in court, or when that application comes in the mail and you find out that you've changed someone's life. So I encourage you to take on a case when you leave here today, and work on these cases. I promise you, you will have someone who is going to guide you every step of the way when you're working with Kind. I really want to answer questions that you may have about just the process or working on these particular cases, because to the extent that I can help you make that final decision, I think I was telling someone earlier, I think it takes 3 asks before you're brave enough to kind of step forward and take one of these cases. So if I can answer any questions for anyone, please let me know, because I'm happy to either answer your questions here or afterwards. If you want to talk to me in the hallways about my experience, I'm always happy to share some more with you. Does anybody have any questions? Everybody's ready to take one case? No, go ahead. Her question was whether in the cases that I have worked with, whether I have always worked with colleagues or whether I have worked on my own. And so in my situation, I've always worked with a colleague. And so I've worked with my colleagues when I worked at a firm, and most recently I'm working with clients who knew that I was working on these kind of cases. And I work with other organizations than just Kind, but the most recent example I can tell you about is a good friend who's a transactional lawyer, and he's like, I don't ever want to go to court. I don't want to speak before a judge, but I really would love to be able to help in these cases. What if we pair up, and then I can help with a lot of the administrative stuff or preparing the paperwork or the affidavits or the petitions, but when we go to court, then you can do the court stuff. And so that worked out perfectly for us. I worked on another case where it was a transactional attorney who's never been in court, and he said, hey, I kind of always wanted to see what this was like, so can I do the court part? And so I did the briefs and the petitions, and he got to do the court appearance, and he did wonderful, so it was really great. Anybody else? Anybody? Yes. That he's asking about the time commitment. So I think it depends on the case and the type of relief that you are seeking. And so in my case, the one that I'm working on now is an SJIS, and it is also an asylum relief application. And I'm working with a colleague. And so let's see, how do I break it up? Because there are times that are more intense, right? So when you're preparing the application for the SJIS and you're filing the petition, I'm trying to quantify for you maybe how many hours I might have spent from the time we met with the client to the time we got the relief in family court. I would probably build maybe about 60 hours. And that's because I was working with a colleague. I would say that for an asylum application, that's a little bit more time consuming because it's a really, you really need to meet one-on-one with your client, develop the evidence, draft the affidavit. So for those of you who are litigators, the best way that I can quantify you is you're getting ready for a mini trial. And so getting the affidavits, the petitions, meeting with your clients, make sure they're ready to go. But it's very controllable. You can space it out and you can time it when you have the time. I have a full litigation practice. And so I have to find and kind of schedule the times in between my own practice to be able to meet with my client and to be able to prepare petitions or prepare for a hearing or a trial. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And like I said, please really consider taking one of these cases. I think that if you do, I promise you're not going to regret it, and you're going to feel very satisfied, and it's going to be one of the most rewarding experiences you've had as an attorney. Thank you so much.